Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode of Chasing Collectibles Catchup. I'm Tyler, and I got some cool guests today. I got our Chasing Collectibles, Tim and Derick of Nerf Herder Comics, and we're coming off of the great Nerdfest show. So, welcome, guys.
Hey,
Thanks for having us back.
Yes, and we'll talk more specifics in a second. But what are first impressions of Nerdfest? We just wrapped it up. It was March 22nd, and hearing nothing but great things from people. So, did you guys have a good time?
yeah, I can go first. Yeah, I had an absolute blast. Probably one of the best times I've ever had at a con. Um, the everything, everything that people have said to me about the show, everyone that came to me and thanked me for having the show and bringing it to Rock Hill, it's just been phenomenal and has absolutely floored me. Such positive um,
Uh,
reviews and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim?
well, I'm there with everything that Derek had just said, and just hearing everyone's positive feedback has been really overwhelming, and uh, just that show, Nerdfest has pretty much exceeded, uh, I believe, our expectations
Most definitely.
of what we were, you know, yeah, what we were expecting. We hoped for a number that was even lower than what we got, and which we can go into more later. But it was, seeing everybody, talking to people, um, talking to visitors and guests, uh, and everyone who came out and supported the show, the vendors, the layout, and just overall is just everything meshed, as you know, during that show, and that's pretty much what I've got for now.
Well, I thought we kind of treat this as
So,
almost like I don't know, like a post game, like with a football game, you have like your press conference afterwards, your debrief, talk with the coaches and all that. Because back in February, we had I think it was late February, we did an episode talking about the show coming up, and you both said that you relatively, if we compare you guys to like other dealers, relatively newer to like doing shows. I think Derek, you said you started in was it 2020 or was it
Correct.
2019 ish?
In 2020.
Okay, and like I know Tim, we started in 2022. So like going from starting in 2020, 2022, so both 3 to 5 years in shows, going from being a participant to then hosting your own. I want to go into like some of the behind the scenes stuff. How long ago did you guys start planning this? Like when did you first say like, hey, we're gonna do this? And then how much actual behind like how long have you been like legitimately working on it before we got to this March 22nd?
It's been several months in the making.
Hmm.
At least 6 to 8, something like that. I can't remember the exact number. Maybe Tim can remember.
I have a set about, yeah, I believe it was about 4 months, about 4 or 5 months,
Hmm.
and that we managed to put this thing together. And there was just at first it just started with me telling Derek, "Hey, why don't we do our own show?" And Derek's like, "We can do that," and it just kind of grew from there with ideas and you know me me going in all different directions, and Derek's like, I want a show that you know appeals to the dealers and appeals to our guests, and he kind of bring it back to when we do shows, when we go to other people's shows and we set up, or when we're visitors, what are the things that we like and we don't like, And I feel that for the most part we've captured that in Nerdfest.
Yeah, we kind of built the whole show around that. What are the things that we as dealers like? What are the things that we know that the customers like? And we just build our whole show around that.
Right. Well, that was actually segues really good into like something I wrote down that I wanted to ask you guys is like, how do you as like dealers, your experience, working with hosts and then, setting up, the setup at the beginning of the day and then the actual show and then the breakdown, how did that influence what you guys tried to do here? Like, is there anything like specific you think of, whether it's like the setup or communication or anything like that?
I definitely have a little bit more respect for anybody that puts their own show on. It's not as easy as it looks. Um, Thankfully, we had some help show up Friday night to help us with all the tables and stuff. But it's definitely got mad respect for anybody that tries to do it themselves. This is actually a good bit of work, a lot of planning.
Yeah, more especially like, that people that, put on successful shows year after year after year. It's they know what they're doing, and yet there's probably still, I can just imagine, a lot of surprises that come up, a lot of behind the scenes last minute changes that have to get made.
Yep.
And it's like I was told, just go with it, Tim. uh this is yours and Derek's show, so you guys, this is what comes with the show, so what do you guys want to do? So
Well, I remember in the months leading
I
up
could
to it
just
too,
imagine it.
whenever we go to like a show, you'd have your was it your Godzilla notebook that you carried around with everything in it because there's so much logistics that go into a show, you know, remembering to talk to people and then uh then like Tim, yeah, there it is. Yeah, I see Mothra on there. Um, and even like so much of the advertisement. I mean, like you can put on a show, but then you also need people to be in there. So like Tim, didn't you say you and Emma did a lot of stuff like going around the Rock Hill area, popping into to businesses and restaurants and talking about the show?
Yeah, so leading up to the show, it was probably, 2 weeks leading up to it. Um, some situations came up that I needed assistance, and Emma was right there with me the whole time to take me around, and we were working together, to talk to people. We went to like York Tech University, and was getting our flyers out over there. Um, getting to hang them up over there, and then just people's businesses too. Some that I had already visited months in advance. Go back into their store. Say, hey man, some of them, our flyer might be taken down, or you know, I'll ask them. I noticed the our flyer is gone for Nerdfest. They're like, oh yeah, someone had wanted it and was interested in the show. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. You mind if I hang another one up? Is that okay? So it's, Emma was there with me the whole time. Um, so yeah, Emma was my right hand man for like 2 weeks leading up to
Yeah.
the show. Um, if, she promoted stuff on her own and at her high school, and with her friends, and on social media. So, telling people you come to my dad's show or I will find you, just cool stuff like that.
Right. It sounds
Hey,
like her.
same old
Whatever it
work.
takes. Yeah. Well, and I know even like that last like kind of two week, 1 week push, there was a lot of Facebook ads and a lot of you guys were doing a really good job kind of organically spreading the news. And Derek, I know you guys did the WHI interview, which I think was you guys did a really good job with that, talking
Thank
about
you.
the show.
Um, yeah, like that was pretty big in my opinion. Not really sure, what kind of viewership they have, but just to get an interview and get the word out on radio,
Hmm.
and the fact that they did it live on Facebook and then they posted stuff about the show on their website, um, big big time.
Yeah. And before we get to the event itself, there's one thing I want to like point out because I thought this was kind of like an interesting thing about learning about like hosting a show was all the and I don't want to dwell too much on this, but all like this the scammers out there. I only saw like a taste of it
Uh,
because I'm on the Chasing Collectibles page and I'd see people post like I mentioned like hey like someone would make a comment about wanting a ticket and I'd say oh yeah it's blah 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 and then someone else would comment like oh I have a ticket for Nerdfest DM me. I'm just like it's $5. Like no one has a ticket to this. It's like, and it's all in person. And I know you guys were dealing with people pretending to be you guys and trying to sell tables. And this is crazy.
So so there was so many. I don't even know how many at this point, how many scammers that were out there just trying to sell tables. And they would use names like coordinator, just a generic
Yeah.
name, call themselves coordinator. Like, yeah, no, no. So me and Derek were constantly reposting, only people that handle any kind of money, any kind of tables, any kind of uh you know selling of tables or planning the show is myself, Timothy, or Derek, or it would come directly from the Nerdfest page. Anything else is a scam. Like we just had to keep on reposting that and just keep on, reporting and delete every single scammer. And I noticed that we weren't even the only um show that goes on that suddenly was, has been getting hit with scammers. So it seems to be something that, they're trying to really take advantage of vendors.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would always I now would recommend to vendors, make sure you know who you're dealing with.
Mhm.
Make sure that you're dealing directly with the page, uh, or the email from the page that they send you to, and nobody else.
Right.
Unless you know the promoter personally, then you
Mhm.
you deal with them directly.
Yeah.
But
Well, we've talked about all the fun behind the scenes stuff. What about the show itself? I know you guys alluded to some like big attendance numbers, the vibe, just what was everything? I mean, I was there. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was really cool. But just numbers, what were people saying to you guys? Just overall, how was it?
uh,
um, you can go first, Tim,
okay.
unless you want
So
me to.
I did notice almost from the beginning there was a steady flow of people outside, just like just steadily coming in. You know, it wasn't like a huge line goes down and then it's like, a few people here and there that come in. No, I would say for most of the show, a steady flow of people. Every time I went outside and would sit with Courtney and Emma, who were handling the tickets. Uh, we would I would just be out there and I'd be like, wow, okay, more people and more people, more people, and then uh, I think. we probably we got than way more than twice than what we were even hoping for
Hmm.
in terms of a turnout. And it was just it was so, you know, as people were coming into the show, and I was talking to people, people were telling me, "Wow, it's so nice to have, our own show here in Rock Hill." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, there's always been, or a show in Rock Hill. This is the first show like this where um we just have so many different things. Now, granted, overwhelming amount of vendors were comic vendors, but we had a good mix, and me and Derek just kept selling that. We had a good mix of vendors. We had a food truck, and outside we had someone selling custard outside, and you know we had the Ghostbusters. We had a ton of Ghostbusters outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was I don't know, Derek, should we just share like a general number?
We can. We had total attendance was just we estimate somewhere over 500, which was more than double what we were hoping for. Um, so that's great, man.
Yeah.
The vibe inside for the whole show was just phenomenal. Everybody would seem to be having a good time. Um, haven't heard anything negative whatsoever. Um, Even at the show, people were constantly coming up to me, "Are you Derick? Are you Derick?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." Oh, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for bringing this to our community. So just that alone was just like I said earlier, man. It just floored me.
Yeah. But I don't know if this resonates with you guys. I mean, I'm sure it would because like you guys like planned a lot. I would like talk to Tim. Sometimes people at shows come up to me and be like I was at a show in December and they're like, "Hey, can I get a table at Nerdfest?" Like I'm not involved in any of that planning. You talk to Tim, you talk to Derek. But like I remember being at the show on the 22nd and just kind of looking out, from our table, from our booth, and I'm just like, wow, this feels like a legit show. And I never
Same
thought it
here.
wouldn't feel like a legit show. I don't know. It's kind of a weird statement, but I was like, wow, like I've been to tons of these and like this feels like any other show. And yet it's so cool that, you guys put it on.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like just walking, I did a lot of walking that day. Just
Hmm.
walking the whole room, everything just felt right. It just felt great. It felt exactly like it was supposed to be, exactly how we wanted it to be. Every fear that I had going into it was easily put to rest. Um, like you said, it felt like a legitimate show, and yeah.
Yeah. Tim, you
Yeah.
feel the same?
Nah, not at all, man. It was terrible. I I did. I had such a good time. Um, that our vendors were awesome. Uh, some of the last minute vendors that came out and set up, you know, we were very thankful for them. Uh, you know, we did have a list of vendors that were on our backup list, and that was some of the stuff, at that last week, even up to like the last 2 days that we were
The,
just,
the
you
day
know,
before, we had to
oh
cancel.
yeah,
We canceled
Wow.
the day before.
yeah. I would wake up to a text message from Derek, so and so canceled. I'd be like, oh, okay, all right, let me see what we got. Who else is on the list? And we'd have to fill that spot.
Yeah.
And we had, you know, I mean, we had so many good vendors, so many great vendors. uh, they're all on our page that have really made that show, you know, as much as me and Derek promoted the show and assembled everything and I would say we really put a lot into promoting. Like we really promoted what out of this thing to the best of our ability for a first time show. I mean, me and Derek were everywhere with Nerdfest flyers, promos, uh, you know, advertising online, advertising around the Carolinas, uh, online. I'm pretty sure the people in Columbia were like, Nerdfest, you know, what's this? You know, because I was throwing out some promos out there too, Asheville, you know, um, and we were just finding other pages that would allow us to post more, promos and just talking it up and talking it up for months.
Yeah.
It's we started slow and then just as we got closer to the show, really started hitting harder.
Hmm.
And it paid off. It it
Yeah.
it really showed that it paid off. And um
So like
gosh,
one of
I
the
would
one of
like to thank
oh,
I
go
would
ahead.
like to really thank like all of our vendors and stuff, like by name, but I know that, we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of vendors, one of the things that really amazed me for the show was how when we walked in Friday afternoon and the room was completely empty, and just watching it go from a completely empty room to all the vendors coming in, setting on their walls, setting up everything that they had, and just turning that empty room into a full-fledged Comic Con was beautiful for me to watch.
Yeah.
I,
Absolutely. That's so cool.
I I would give like a special thank you to Chris, who was there Friday and helped us with quite a bit stuff. Um,
Yeah, Jeremy Lima, thank you to him too. He came Friday and helped set tables up.
yeah, and then Tyler, you were there.
Yep. Yep.
We give you, thank you.
I was happy to be there. Yep. Well,
uh,
Yeah, appreciate you,
I
Tyler.
yeah, of
yeah,
course.
my family was there. Um,
Yeah, your family was awesome.
yeah, thank you. And
We,
Derek's brother was there. I
Yeah.
I still go back to thinking in my mind. I'm like, if you ever see Derek and his brother, right? And I know this is like a little bit off our subject matter here, but when we went out to eat that night, and I looked at Derek's brother, and I'm like, wow, I'm like, what's it like to have like the an older brother like Derek? He's like, well, actually, I'm the older brother. Oh, oh, oh.
It's beard. It's got a lot of gray
yeah.
in it.
We,
Like, whoops.
one thing I wanted to say to you guys too, just kind of like observationally, one thing I've always liked about the comic book community since we started doing shows is just how like supportive everyone is, and I think it's a really nice part of it. But
Very.
like I think having so many great vendors at the show um is also a testament to like the relationships that you guys have built over time because like inherently if you have a brand new show, it's your first time doing it, as a vendor, you're kind of there's a bit of risk in doing that. You're like, oh, this show could, it's the first time. These guys have never done this before. How's this gonna go? And you have those relationships with people. We could list all the vendors, people that you ask, like, hey, we're doing the show. I think of our friend like this, for example, Nick doesn't really do that many shows anymore, but he came out because, of your friendship. And there's so many dealers I could think of that, that relationship piece. played a big role in them coming to the show. So I just want to say that too about you guys. Like that's, if people didn't respect and also, care about you guys, they wouldn't have come and do the show. So I think that's really awesome what you guys have built since coming on the scene so relatively, you know, not that long ago.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of the dealers signed up just because of our friendship,
Mhm.
and the fact that we support theirs. There were some dealers that do their own shows that were there, so we support their shows, and they said, "Well, Derek's always supports my show, so I'm going to go support his show."
Yeah, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
I do want to
And
talk about. Oh,
I
go ahead,
think for
Tim. I'm
me they
sorry.
were like, if we don't do this show, Tim's not gonna leave us alone.
Right. Yeah. Well, I do as we're getting close to the end here, I do want to talk about our as you do any, post game analysis, is there anything you guys would do differently, next go around?
Yeah, we definitely made a list of some things that went very well, and a list of some things that we could work on for the next one. Um, One of the biggest things was the hallway that we had some vendors in did not get a lot of traffic, and I feel really bad about that. So we're already brainstorming on what we can do to get traffic through there, and we've got some really good ideas. So pay attention to the Nerdfest page, and you'll see what we've got cooking. That was one of the biggest. That was probably the
Yeah.
biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
That
Oh, I'll go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
that would probably be the biggest thing for me too, is to make sure that every every vendor has a chance to be known that they're there.
Mm.
I mean we really promoted our vendors before the show, but I'm talking even at the show for make it easier for people to see and know that hey, we have a lot more back here that you should probably come check out. So we're looking to utilize it, you know, as much as we can because we do feel like going forward there's more people wanting into the show and we want to make it desirable for and make it accessible for vendors to get in and have a place at our show.
Well, you guys keep talking about going forward and, you know, look at the Nerdfest page. I had a bunch of people at the show. I'm sure you guys had even more people ask this question, and people comment on the Facebook page since then about, well, when's the next one? So, is there a Nerdfest 2, or is this a one and done? What's happening in the future? Is there a future for Nerdfest? Is there a sequel going to be greenlit?
I never want to do this again.
Ah, well, that's the end of the show, guys.
Well, thankfully, I do. So, um, yes, Nerdfest, the sequel, is definitely going to happen.
Hey,
Tim,
Derek,
you want to announce the date, Tim?
go do it, do it.
All right, so we're looking at October the 11th of this year. Um, it's a nice Saturday right for Halloween. So there you go. Nerdfest sequel, October 11th,
Put it on your
2025.
calendar.
Yes, right.
Nerdfest Part 2, whatever you want to call it.
I I know you guys. Me and Derek are already brainstorming. There's gonna be some great stuff happening. Some new stuff. It's not gonna be like a complete overhaul, because I mean, you keep what works, and then
Mhm.
you try and build from that.
Exactly. And we had a lot that worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, and I know I'm super excited for the second Nerd Fest. I know people will be excited about it, and I think it's a great time around the fall. People will be excited about comic stuff, so I think that's really cool. It's going to be an awesome show.
We just had so many people ask if we were going to do it again. It was really a no brainer.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
I I agree.
Well, so that's leave the people wanting more, right? So we got Nerdfest 2. Again, that's to be October 11th. And, if you guys aren't already following the Nerdfest page, make sure you're following it because, there'll be dealer announcements once you get closer to it and advertisements and all that kind of stuff. So that's super exciting, guys. Um, well, we got this is like breaking news to Chasing Collectibles. So that's pretty cool that we got to put this out there. We actually broke some news stories here. Um, so mark the day on your calendar. And again, guys, I just want to reiterate, it's really cool to be, you know, running the Chasing Collectibles table along with Reed and Courtney that day, helping out. And like I had people that would come up to me like, oh, you guys did a good job. And I'd be like, well, thank you. But by the way, like I didn't, do a lot of planning with this. I, helped out physically some, but like, all the praise to Tim and Derick and you guys did awesome. And I just feel fortunate to be like associated with Chasing Collectibles, which is part of Nerdfest. So it's awesome, and I'm really looking forward to the next one.
All right.
So are we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ready here first, guys. October 11th, Nerdfest 2, or whatever it's going to be called. There will be another Nerdfest, and we'll see you there. So, and thank you guys for coming on for this debrief, and we'll see you on October 11th. I'll see you guys hopefully sooner than that. But thanks again, and be sure to keep on chasing. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Tyler.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Yay! Come